November 8th, vote like the world depends on it. Infowars.com, broadcasting worldwide. Look, it's very simple. I had studied history, and I understood they were building a corporate private world government that was anti-freedom, because freedom competes with their system. So I began to try to build an organization to resist them. I figured I would cover these issues and other people would be concerned and they would go and build other organizations to resist it and then we would win that way. I didn't think like I'd end up being one of the main players in it, but that doesn't matter now. The globalists are in trouble. And they've tried to hire a bunch of psychopaths and crazy people like Hillary Clinton to carry out their operations. But as the people in their own system learn just how evil it is, and just as we get closer to it being completed, and world governments being announced, and families are bad, and guns are bad, and humans are bad, and you can't have a car, but the elite can all be filthy rich off your back. Everybody's going, you know, this system sucks. And then they've got all this NSA technology, and all these arrogant politicians are doing satanic rituals and dealing drugs and hurting kids and doing all this crazy stuff. And they think as they have top-down control, their own minions aren't going to go, you're doing rituals with little kids? What the? We're not going to be part of this. And that's why this is all blown up in their face. Now, Roger Stone just got off the road. He's joining us. You've got Associated Press and others saying ISIS, Al-Qaeda attacks in Texas, New York, and other battleground states. Because they're saying Texas is a battleground now with their propaganda. They're saying all this huge news is coming out. More WikiLeaks, the latest WikiLeaks. New York City with the campaign head hanging out with this woman that's like this coven leader of hardcore Aleister Crowley black magic with mixing bodily fluids and drinking them and talking about child sacrifice and then hooked into all this other weird stuff. This is the most, I keep saying every week now, the most viral thing we've ever done. This is the most viral. Stuff is so viral right now, it's just crazy. We're 4 days out. All there is Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That's 3 days, folks, and change. And we're into the election day, 3.5 days. So we're sitting here. We've been trying to get Trump to win. We've been exposing the globalists. Trump is ahead in all these different battleground states, even with oversampling. But now, what happens? What will Soros do if Trump wins? Will they activate rioters? Or if Trump loses, will they false flag and blame it on us and say we blew something up because Trump lost? I mean, we're now down to the wire. We've been trying to get Trump to win. We've been trying to expose globalism. But now, Roger Stone, we've now basically, we're T-0. We're now ignition, prepare, liftoff, launch, Cape Canaveral. I mean, they have ignited, you know how they do those big Saturn launches or launches of the space shuttle. You know, they first ignite these big torches. So when they let that fuel out of the engines, it's on. They are now igniting the primary ignition. And so essentially we're here. D-Day's here. Crossroads is here. History's happening. And Assange linked to We Are Change, which is a citizen activist news group, does some good work. They linked to that this morning. We added it to our article, and them pointing out this could be connected to smuggling kids out for human sacrifice. Why would Julian Assange put out a report of Satanism by Podesta and a menu of bodily fluids to enjoy at the ritual with all these, you know, the orgy? Well, that's admitted. Why would they do that? And then they link to something we were already looking at, but I'm not going to put that out. I mean, but now I will, because, I mean, WikiLeaks is saying, look at this. And then I'm told by NYPD, FBI sources, confirmed before Breitbart even had it 2 days, that it's going to be pedophile island, all of it, and worse than we thought. I mean, Roger, this is turning into a frickin' nightmare.
Well, a nightmare for Hillary Clinton and her clique, no question about it. I liken the 650,000 emails in the Huma Abedin, Anthony Weiner trove to be like the Watergate tapes. These are indelible.
Except Richard Nixon wasn't having satanic rituals.
Well, obviously, the crimes are pale in comparison to what Nixon was ultimately went down for, which, to remind you, was dirty tricks in connection with the 1972 election. No, I think my sources for several days have now told me that the criminal charges that will ultimately flow from this catch of information include corruption, treason, sexual exploitation of children.
Wow.
Pay for play. I mean, this is the whole Megillah, and because of the role of the NYPD, there is now zero chance that the Department of Justice or a faction of the FBI, working with the Central Intelligence Agency, can contain this. It cannot be covered up.
So it's the local cops again, just like the UN's trying to take them over. It's the local cops again that save the day.
Because they began looking at the potential sex crimes of Anthony Weiner, they came in contact with an enormous catch of information that is going to ultimately bring Hillary Clinton and the circle around her down.
Wow, Roger, you don't mince words, but you never exaggerate. You're a big New York insider. You know everybody. You're a who's who. Friends with Trump 40 years. We're going to skip this break to give you the floor. You've never dropped such bombshells, so you sound so confident. Tell us about what your sources said and you kind of fill in what you just talked about, because that is so huge, and that's exactly what I'm getting from my sources.
Well, there's several things going on afoot here today. I'm sure you have read that an anonymous tipster told the FBI of the existence of these records. I believe that I had lunch with that tipster today, and I believe his name will become public very shortly. This is someone who worked as an asset for the Central Intelligence Agency, but who can outline the epic struggle between the Department of Justice and the Eastern District of New York to contain the Clintons' various scandals. These include shaking down Serbia. We made them pay for a meeting with Barack Obama. There may have been instances where foreign powers and entities hostile to the United States paid the Clintons to be able to examine classified.
I was about to say, they keep claiming Trump's with the Russians. Even the Inquirer is now saying it's actually coming out. It's Russians paying Hillary.
Yeah, this has always been this mirror image world in which everything they do, they turn around and accuse Trump of. So I also believe that there will be a trove of Benghazi-related documents that will come out of the Eastern District and the Justice Department there, out of the criminal investigation into what was really happening in Benghazi, that will shed entirely new light on that scandal.
So bottom line, there's a war within the government, and the Patriots are winning right now. How does Hillary strike back?
Well, there's two questions. First of all, does all of this manifest itself quickly enough to impact an election in 3 days? Or does she manage to squeeze by? Or does she manage to steal it? The ferocity with which the Democrats are suing Donald Trump and I in the federal courts, now resorting to the use of fabricated evidence, things that I have never posted or said are attributed to me. Motives are being attributed to me that are completely inconsistent with the conduct of an exit poll. In an exit poll, you only speak to people after they have voted. So how can they be intimidated when they've already voted? The whole thing's an absurdity.
You're absolutely right, Roger.
And one has to presume that the purpose of the lawsuits are not only for publicity, but also because the Democrats morbidly fear an honest election. They don't want an exit poll that allows you to compare exit poll results with actual machine results, because they're concerned that there will be a substantial discrepancy. That's why I believe that the Soros crowd, particularly with his investment in voting machines in 16 states, they are now committed to stealing this election if that's what it takes.
Well, Roger Stone, they're certainly bold. Again, some of the other big WikiLeaks that are coming out, there's Newsweek. Trump and Stone sued in 4 battleground states for alleged voter intimidation efforts. So they claim there's no election fraud problems, but I saw AP this morning saying feds girt for massive election outages and crises. They just say the machines are breaking now. So the feds are going to be crawling around like army ants all over the election with UN and EU inspectors. But don't worry, the only threat is Roger Stone and Donald Trump.
Yeah, look, there's not going to be anything untoward about our conduct on Election Day. All we're asking for is an honest election. All we would like to see is that the U.S. election held next Tuesday adhere to the federal standards used by Hillary Clinton's State Department, that there can be no greater than a 2% deviance between the actual results at the polls, as reported, and the exit polls. That's the policy that our State Department uses in judging the integrity of a foreign election. And that's all we're asking for here.
Sure, so let me ask you this then. Let me ask you this question, Roger Stone. Obviously, you said this week ago, I believe you. They're out of ammo. No more made-up fake controversies. But I mean, could they have something up their sleeve?
Election or some kind of false flag, attack on American interests someplace. I think that's what we're down to. Look, they had two whole cards. One was the phony rape lawsuit against Donald Trump. Completely bogus. The idea that he raped some 13-year-old whose name has never been revealed in court or publicly.
And has now been dropped again.
And it's now been collapsed because they couldn't get whoever their stooge was to stand up and say that. This was completely false. That has collapsed. Then there's Donald Trump's secret Russian computer server. The New York Times debunked that. Yeah, they're out of cards. And the fuse is lit on their criminal indictment and prosecution. So there's no good ending here for Hillary Clinton, regardless of the outcome of the election. The cover-up will no longer hold. Everything is out here, and it's far worse, as you point out, than we ever thought.
Look, we're libertines, but we're not hurting anybody. I don't claim to be some big Pharisee, Mr. Goody Two-Shoes out policing everybody. But I quite frankly lead a pretty staid life, but I'm not here policing people. But you get into all this weird devil worship stuff and all my other guests that have confirmed it, and Hillary into all this weird crap at Epstein and sex slaves, and then now Breitbart's got witnesses in the NYPD confirming what my witnesses were saying, and Eric Prince is involved, heavily involved in Black Ops, saying absolutely the Clintons are trafficking kids. Prince wouldn't come out and say that unless he thought the whole country was on the line. And obviously it's true. Who the hell are these people? Who does this kind of crap? I know you've lived in New York a long time, but man, I tell you, I only ran into Satanism when I was in high school in Dallas. High-level rich people were involved. I never got into it, but I knew it was there because I ran into it a couple times. Never ran into it again. What's going on in New York? I mean, you know what's going on in New York. Did you ever get wind of actual Satanism?
Well, when I wrote my book on the Bush crime family, and I had to obviously cover some of the scandals in the Midwest, in Nebraska, that touched on this subject.
Oh, yeah, Omaha.
I first became familiar with it. Yes, Alex, I think among the super elite, there has always been an interest in pedophilia. It is more widespread than perhaps people know. I think it's particularly widespread in Europe and in the UK. And it's very clear that this fellow Epstein was trafficking young men and young women to super elites, many of whose names you would recognize, at least one former Democratic U.S. Senator, at least one former Democratic governor, a couple cabinet officers, some athletes, some scientists, some bankers, some extremely well-known, A-list celebrity types. I think if the average American knew how much of this existed, they would be revolted. Like you, I'm a libertine. I make no bones about it. But sex with children, that's disgusting. And anybody who is...
Yeah, I mean, I'm against sex with children, rape of women, anything exploitive. And I'm so sick of hearing how I'm a homophobe.
Anything non-consensual.
Exactly. I don't care. I don't get into all this stuff. And they claim, because I don't like Hillary, I'm this homophobe. They're the ones funding ISIS to throw gays off buildings. And then you keep running into just all their sordid behavior. I mean, how bad is this woman?
Intrinsically evil. Just intrinsically evil. A terrific piece in today's New York Daily News, a paper that has been very, very critical of Donald Trump. And frankly has been vicious to him, but an excellent piece there by Lisa Schifrin in which she discusses the multiple personalities of Hillary Clinton. The woman you see on television, that's not Hillary. The real Hillary is vicious, angry, abusive, foul-mouthed, short-tempered megalomaniac. She's unhinged. She's unbalanced. She's a screamer, from what I understand. She likes to throw things at people, including her husband.
Sure, we've got it on screen, and let me raise this now. Satanism and the occult is just an ancient form of mind control. And if anybody's a Manchurian candidate and has this weird background with her dad, Hillary acts like somebody who's been programmed, and it's wearing out. And now you have New York Daily News, a huge Democrat outfit, basically saying she has multiple personalities. I've told people privately that if anybody's a Manchurian candidate programmed by somebody, I think it's Hillary.
Well, that's a real possibility. This is unlike any election or any electoral experience that I have had. And now the real question, Alex, is what is the impact of what we already know in 3 days? Does this all manifest itself prior to Election Day, or is the real impact after Election Day?
And that's my next question. That's my next question. Assange, who I now know is a genius, and I apologize for attacking him. I was up, 20 hours doing a live thing in the middle of the night. He didn't release the info. I felt bad about it. I got mad. I apologize. Okay, and I'll admit it when I'm wrong. I'm really wrong. I'm really wrong. He's a genius. This drip, 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 drip. As he's done, he said, oh, don't worry. It goes after, because he doesn't want to bring this out and hurt everybody. But if we elect her or put her in, then he's going to release stuff 10 times worse than the devil worship. And so it's pure genius. And so that's the issue. What's coming next?
And there's no way of any of us knowing. And of course, if I even intimated that I might know, then people would immediately assume that I'm a Russian agent and that he confides everything in me that he plans to do. An absurdity. In any event, I am headed down your way. I will be in Texas Monday. And I know that we will talk over the weekend. This is literally hour to hour. We are getting new information every hour.
We're on tomorrow. I'm going to do a special 6 to 8 p.m. transmission, Infowars.com/show. We're going to tweet that out to everybody. Special Saturday night show. So if you want to pop in, we'll have you, Roger. Thank you for everything. But I mean, I got to tell you, I mean, who could get sick of Marilyn Monroe and cheese enchiladas? I mean, why are these guys and gals, I guess they're just evil. I guess it's just the power to do something, you know, that nobody else does. I mean, is that it?
It's elite deviance. There's a certain subset of people in the country so powerful, so wealthy, so connected, they can do whatever they want. And the law, up till now, has not applied to them. That's about to change.
I think it's all coming to an end. Final question. I got to go. We got 1 minute left anyways. Am I wrong? I mean, he's ahead in all the battleground states, even in polls that oversample. I mean, it looks like landslide for Trump.
As Ronald Reagan would say, I am cautiously optimistic.
Bigger win than Reagan had, or will they steal it even if I mean, maybe give her all 50 states, hell.
I am cautiously optimistic.
And Trump's in good spirits.
In excellent spirits. Never heard him happier.
All right, Roger Stone, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you, my friend.
Many thanks.
Now, we'll be back Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m., but I'm coming up here, and the crew's going to be here, and I'm going to be on tomorrow, 6 to 8 p.m. I figure by then we'll have most of the news of the day. We'll be able to cover it all. I went total with this devil worship stuff because, I mean, I already saw it this morning. Everybody's like, whoa, this is what Alex Jones says, and now there it is. Well, it's the reality. I mean, I just go where it is. If you got Secret Service and FBI saying, she smells like hell, she flops around the ground, acts like a demon, she freaks out, she hisses, and I go, well, I'm like, well, I go, Linda Blair, the exorcist. And then you got the New York Daily News saying she acts like Linda Blair. She freaks, like, I mean, in another voice, like, I'll tell you what I need to. I mean, this is, everyone's, whoa. I mean, she'll start attacking the Secret Service, just foaming at the mouth, climbing the walls. My fellow Americans, my fellow humans on planet Earth, there is an epic, legendary awakening of nationalism and populism happening from the Brexit to the Donald Trump phenomenon to Russia pulling out of the New World Order and arresting the bankster oligarchs. Humanity's will for self-determination and freedom is expressing itself. The great classical liberalisms of Thomas Jefferson and Francis Bacon are reawakening right now. And it's because of the historical times we live in that InfoWars is going to embark on an unprecedented 52-hour broadcast. We've done 24-hour broadcasts before, but we've never gone 52 hours. This Monday, from 11 a.m. Central, right through Tuesday, right into Wednesday, when the Wednesday show ends at 3 p.m. Central, we will broadcast for an unprecedented, legendary, over-the-top 52 hours live. The second great awakening is taking place. We are in the dawn of a new era of renaissance, of rediscovery and human liberty. Donald Trump, the Brexit, InfoWars, Matt Drudge, Breitbart, WorldNet Daily, and so many others are only one small manifestation in the fire of liberty that is now exploding across the globe. You can see it in the news. You can feel it. You can witness it on the street. History's happening. They always say this election is the most important in our lifetimes, and we laugh it off. I wouldn't even get involved in past elections because they were so clearly frauds. This one's the big kahuna. A clear demarcation line, a crossroads between nationalism and tyranny, between Americanism and globalism. That's why we're doing this one time and one time only, because history's happening. A 52-hour live transmission kicking off Monday, November 7th, 2016 at 11 a.m., running right through Election Day the 8th, into the night at 3 p.m. and quite frankly beyond. It's historical, and it's part of overthrowing the dinosaur media, not just overthrowing the two-party corrupt system. I want to see 10 million viewers tune in over the 50-plus hours, and that's where you come in. You are the heart and blood of the InfoWar. If you spread the link to Infowars.com/show and point out that this is the alternative new media, this is the rebellion, this is the modern Paul Revere operation, then all of you are riding right beside us, not behind us. So spread the word, my Paul Reveres, no matter where you live in the world. To information warfare arms, the globalists are coming, and they will be met on the field. Infowars.com, powered by 1776. November 8th, vote like the world depends on it. Infowars.com, broadcasting worldwide. Look, it's very simple. I had studied history, and I understood they were building a corporate private world government that was anti-freedom, because freedom competes with their system. So I began to try to build an organization to resist them. I figured I would cover these issues and other people would be concerned and they would go and build other organizations to resist it and then we would win that way. I didn't think like I'd end up being one of the main players in it, but that doesn't matter now. The globalists are in trouble and they've tried to hire a bunch of psychopaths and crazy people like Hillary Clinton to carry out their operations. But as the people in their own system learn just how evil it is, and just as we get closer to it being completed, and world governments being announced, and families are bad, and guns are bad, and humans are bad, and you can't have a car, but the elite can all be filthy rich off your back. Everybody's going, you know, this system sucks. And then they've got all this NSA technology. All these arrogant politicians are doing satanic rituals and dealing drugs and hurting kids and doing all this crazy stuff. And they think as they have top-down control, their own minions aren't going to go, you're doing rituals with little kids? What the? We're not going to be part of this. And that's why this is all blown up in their face. Now, Roger Stone just got off the road. He's joining us. You've got Associated Press and others saying ISIS, Al-Qaeda attacks in Texas, New York, and other battleground states. Because they're saying Texas is a battleground now with their propaganda. They're saying all this huge news is coming out. More WikiLeaks, the latest WikiLeaks. New York City with the campaign head hanging out with this woman that's like this coven leader of hardcore Aleister Crowley black magic with mixing bodily fluids and drinking them and talking about child sacrifice and then hooked into all this other weird stuff. This is the most, I keep saying every week now, the most viral thing we've ever done. This is the most viral. Stuff is so viral right now, it's just crazy. We're 4 days out. All there is Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That's 3 days, folks, and change. And we're into the election day, 3.5 days. So we're sitting here. We've been trying to get Trump to win. We've been exposing the globalists. Trump is ahead in all these different battleground states, even with oversampling. But now, what happens? What will Soros do if Trump wins? Will they activate rioters? Or if Trump loses, will they false flag and blame it on us and say we blew something up because Trump lost? I mean, we're now down to the wire. We've been trying to get Trump to win. We've been trying to expose globalism. But now, Roger Stone, we've now basically, we're T-0. We're now ignition, prepare, liftoff, launch, Cape Canaveral. I mean, they have ignited, you know, they do those big Saturn launches or